Piers, it looked bad, but you know what? When the system, you believe the system's cheating you, you go to the system and you protest. And when he was talking about BLM and all the riots, everybody burned down their own city. Why the hell would you do that? If you have a problem with the police department, go to the police department. Why are you burning down black-owned businesses? Why are you burning down black-owned businesses? Why are you burning down your city? Okay, these people felt like they were cheated, and you know what? The facts have come out. They were.
Vinny Oshano from the PBD podcast went on Piers Morgan Uncensored and took down an entire panel of woke idiots. Things got really heated. This is one of the more nuclear panels that I have seen from Piers Morgan Uncensored, because they are also talking about a very serious topic and a very huge topic in the J6 issue. Things, of course, got heated, as they always do, with Vinny from the PBD podcast here. Let's get into this clip, though, where Vinny stuns Piers Morgan once again and absolutely shreds all the woke idiots out there live on this Piers Morgan Uncensored panel.
If I was there, I agree with JD Vance's position on that.
Yeah, but Piers, okay, and Piers, by the way, I was a military police in the United States Air Force. Any violence, period, I'm not for it. But that day, Piers, let's think about it. Where was the insurrection? Who had the guns? Who was violent? The FBI, Christopher Wray. We don't even know how many FBI agents, how many informants, how many people you're shooting rubber bullets in people's faces and acting as if they're not going to be upset. Okay, we saw the footage of everybody inside. Who was shooting? Who was taking over? Where was the insurrection? Where was it, Piers? Donald Trump didn't say, go in there and do all of this. A big group of people came in there. Who knows how much they were freaking
But Vinny, they were all breaking the law.
It looks bad.
Vinny, they were all breaking the law.
Yes.
We have to agree that, right?
Yes. And okay, Piers, I agree. And do you think, who died that day, Piers? Who was actually, the highest crime is murder, okay? A Capitol Police, Michael Byrd, shot Ashley Babbitt and murdered her. Okay, unarmed United States Air Force veteran. What, he got pardoned as well. Okay, and yes, Piers, it looked bad, but you know what? When the system, you believe the system's cheating you, you go to the system and you protest. And when he was talking about BLM and all the riots, everybody burned down their own city. Why the hell would you do that? If you have a problem with the police department, go to the police department. Why are you burning down black-owned businesses? Why are you burning down black-owned businesses? Why are you burning down your city? Okay, these people felt like they were cheated. And you know what? The facts have come out. They were. So they went to protest. And unless we find out with all the evidence that was destroyed, who was involved, who was in there, Antifa people dressed as Trump supporters, FBI agents inside the Capitol, unless we have all those facts, Piers, you don't know who was actually at fault and who was doing what.
Okay, I mean, what I would say about, we now know that they were cheating.
Real quick, though, every single election, basically, the person who loses always insinuate, not always, but a lot of the time will insinuate that the other side was doing something nefarious, whether they were cheating directly or they were co-opted and maybe it's like, there was Russia collusion or whatever the case is. Every single election has some stuff like that happening. And I wouldn't be surprised if every single election does have legit nefarious things going on where votes are stolen, votes are lost, votes are added out of nowhere. I wouldn't be surprised at all. There's something to be said about the fact that for this election in particular, people acted on the fact that they felt like they got cheated versus just saying it. And, like they always do for every other election, there's a reason why people went out there and acted. And I wish it didn't happen. I do, because it gives the left just a little bit of ammunition that they have is the J6 stuff, and it's just annoying. But it's notable that for this time, for whatever reason, people felt like so strong about this that they felt the need to go act on it and to go take it to the Capitol building and to make their voices heard there. Whereas with all these other elections, there's really nothing that gets done. People tweet about it. People might make signs, bumper stickers, and just complain about it in the media. But nobody goes out there and does anything about it physically. Nobody risks their own, bodies for it. And a lot of people put their bodies on the line. They put their livelihoods on the line. They put their freedom on the line, knowing that they could possibly get arrested, knowing that if things got out of hand, they could get shot, they could get killed, could get thrown in jail, could get fired from their job. And all these people went out there and risked all those things. You got to respect it, you got to respect it, even though I wish it didn't happen because it does give the left ammunition. I think there's something to be said about the fact that this time around, people felt strong enough to go out there and do something about it,
Actually, we don't, because there's never been any evidence produced that 2020 election was rigged. Donald Trump keeps saying it. I wish he wouldn't. He doesn't need to say it. He's won big now. He doesn't need to go back over that again. But actually, including Republican judges, nobody has ever found any concrete evidence that that election was rigged. So the reason why people... hang on, Vinny. The reason why people were protesting in the way they did was because they believed it. I certainly believe that. But the reality is it's never been backed up by actual hard evidence, even by Republican judges who studied it. So this premise that somehow it was illegally stolen from Donald Trump the first time, I've said it to his face, and I believe it now, just as I still believe what I wrote in that column that Wajahat quoted from earlier. You know, I just think that there are certain things where people can continue to say it was stolen and rigged and so on, but you've got to actually at some point stump up the hard evidence, and it's never happened.
May I say something, Piers?
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
It's a good point by Piers, right? Like, I'm in a reasonable mood today. I feel like that's a decent point by Piers. But it's very hard to present evidence for something nefarious happening when the people who are supposed to provide the evidence are the people doing the bad things that are happening, right? Like, it's hard to force the FBI to present us evidence of bad things that the FBI has done or bad things that the CIA has done or whatever. Any of these agencies, it's hard for us to get evidence from these people when they're the ones that are committing the crimes, right? Same thing with the list that was supposed to come out recently. Like, it's really hard for them to release the list because I'm sure a lot of the people who are responsible for releasing the list are probably on the list. So why the hell would they want the list to come out? So, I get what Piers is saying, but when the people who are responsible and have the power to form this evidence, to find this evidence, when they're the ones that are committing the crime or doing the nefarious actions, it's going to be a lot harder to get the evidence. Now, if you just look at the voter numbers, that's where red flags start to pop up for me. Now, we saw these charts come out right after the 2024 election where it was like so many missing votes between 2020 and 2024. Where'd they all go? Now, the numbers have caught up since then because California, Arizona, and these West Coast states are just extremely slow to count votes for whatever reason. It's really ridiculous, but that's for another time. It's caught up now, but there's still less votes than 2020. There's still less votes, which makes zero sense to me. That was the most hyped up, the most consequential election of my lifetime. I'm 26 years old, and that's the most hyped up election of my lifetime. You know, so many commercials. You couldn't go on TV without seeing a commercial. I know that it's like that for a lot of elections, but it was literally all I could see on Twitter, on YouTube. When I turned on the TV to watch football, that's all I could see. It's all people were talking about. And it was so emotionally charged that you would think that it would really capture people and make them go out and vote. And there's still less votes for this 2024 election than the 2020 election. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's where red flags start to pop up for me. But Piers is right. There is no hard evidence that we have that we can point to, unless Vinny is about to pull something up right here, which, you know, I'm sure him and PBD talk about this stuff all the time on the PBD podcast. So maybe he does have some evidence to bring up, but there's not much hard evidence, right? It's kind of just a feel thing other than the stuff that I just went over. So, yeah.
Hang on, Vinny. I'll come back to you. Let Wajahat respond, and then I'll come back to you.
Yeah, Piers, look, you and I have disagreements, but we have agreements. And I read that part of your column because I agree with it. Shame on Donald Trump for continuing, this is a key word, continuing to perpetuate a grotesque, inflammatory lie that threatens to imperil the very foundation of American democracy. What is that lie? That he won the 2020 election that he lost. And you and me, we've been on your show before. We've talked about it. It's time for him to move on.
Yeah, I agree.
He won 2016. He won 2024.
But the thing is, Donald Trump has moved on. Donald Trump doesn't bring that up anymore. It's like he doesn't enjoy talking about it. It doesn't seem. He only talks about it whenever somebody else asked him about it. That's the only time he talks about it. So he's moved on. You guys are the ones that haven't moved on. Right? And nobody's trying to force Hillary Clinton to accept defeat in the 2016 election, even though she never did, even though she never came out and said, yeah, Donald Trump won fair and square. This never happened. Nobody cares. Why do they care so much about Donald Trump accepting defeat in 2020? I don't understand it.
He continues to perpetuate this lie to the point, Piers, where now 80% of Republican voters believe the lie. And some of them were incited by that lie, invited by Donald Trump. In fact, Jacob's former attorney said that Jacob was a guest of Donald Trump, that he was duped by Donald Trump, that he apologized for being there. That was Jacob's former attorney, right? These people were there. These are regular Americans.
Former attorney.
I said former attorney.
Former attorney.
former attorney. These people were fellow Americans. These people were fellow Americans. They weren't evil. They didn't have horn on their heads. They truly thought that this election was stolen, which it wasn't. No proof has come out that it was stolen. Joe Biden won, just like Donald Trump won in 2024.
But do you accept? All right, but what, Jahad, do you accept the argument?
But they were
hang on, guys.
Sorry, go ahead.
But Jahad,
Sure.
But Jahad, do you accept? Because I do. That there was a clear double standard.
If you enjoy content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
In the way that people who protested through the BLM months of extreme violence in many cases, trashing institutions and buildings, attacking police. I mean, a lot of people were involved in this. That there was a clear double standard in the way that they were collectively treated by the justice system and the way that the 1,500 January 6th protesters were treated. Do you accept there's been a clear double standard here?
I think there's been an obscene double standard, and I'm so glad you brought it up, because if BLM members, if Black, Muslim, Indigenous Americans were to do what MANGA members did, first and foremost, we wouldn't even gotten to the Capitol because we would have been shot dead. And secondly, the fact that Donald Trump, wait for it, Donald Trump and his fans celebrate the January 6th insurrectionists, right? These are people, wait.
But why aren't you answering my question?
I will. I kept quiet when everyone
It's a bad answer. He doesn't want to answer it.
He's not going to answer the question, so he's just going to pivot to if these if these protesters were brown, they would have been shot dead. Buddy, brown protesters burn down cities for no reason, okay? Like, they burned down cities because a fentanyl addict got killed by a cop. Or maybe he overdosed and died while a cop was touching him. I don't know. But that nobody shot them, no cops or security or anything shot them dead. So what the hell are you talking? And that was in the same year. Like, that's so ridiculous. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys think about Vinny going on Piers Morgan uncensored and absolutely cooking these woke idiots. It's really sad that the left wing, the Democrat rhetoric is just so actually sad, man. Like, they're going on live television, going on Piers Morgan's show, and this is the argument that they bring. When Piers Morgan asked him a clear-cut question, he's like, well, if brown people would have went to the Capitol, we would have been shot. Oh my God, man. You just lose all credibility in anyone with any common sense when you start making arguments like that. Let me know in the comments, you guys think about this whole Vinny on Piers Morgan uncensored situation.